what they've been able to do this year stems from the incredible pass rush they've got, particularly on the edges.
Yeah, they haven't had to bring a lot of pressure because they've been able to get it with those four guys. So they've just created a ton of problems for everybody. So you better have a plan for them. You got to help out some, with those guys. Everybody's chipping them and all that type of stuff to give you a little bit more time. The clock's ticking quick, when that ball is snapped. So they've done a nice job. And again, with them not having to bring a lot of pressure to create pressure, it's really helped them on the back end.
How essential is Cade's pocket awareness in any game, but particularly in a game like this where you said the clock's ticking?
It'll be critical. He's got to go play quarterback, man, at a high level for us. This is a championship game. It's a state championship, and you usually don't win championships with average quarterback play. So he got to play well.
What's his status? Demonte Capehart for this?
He's didn't practice yesterday, but he's getting better. He's still day to day.
Any questions for Coach virtually? Anybody else in the room?
I wanted to ask you, because you mentioned this in the summertime, being with the new college football playoff and how it's set up. In a situation, if you were already in the ACC championship game and you had some questionable guys playing this week, how would you handle that situation? When it comes to sitting guys or stuff like that, being it is a rivalry, but at the same time, next week would be a huge game in that sense.
Yeah, and that scenario may come up for somebody where you're, I guess you'd be, let's just say, I guess you'd be 11-0. You'd probably be 11-0. You wouldn't be 9-2. But if you're 11-0 and you're in that game already next week, and you're in the game for sure. That's a question that I think probably is going to get answered somewhere out there. But I know for me, one of our goals, specific goals, season and goal of its own, is to win the state championship. So I'm going to try to go win the state championship, and play the game that's in front of you. So I just think that's a part of who we are here. But it'll be interesting. I could see that happening. You see that at all the pro levels, and it may get there, because then all of a sudden, if you're playing, whoever, and let's just say that last game they're 4-7, right? And you got Trevor Lawrence out there, and he rolls his ankle. Now he's out, and we saw how that affected Florida State last year, right? People are probably mad. Well, why'd you play them? So it's, you see it in the pros all the time. When they know they're in the playoff already and they still got a game to play, they just don't play those guys, a lot of them. Some may play a few series just to kind of keep them in rhythm, but a lot of times they don't play them. But those are just – I hope I get that opportunity. I look forward to that. Sign me up for 11-0.
You see a lot of similarities with what Beamer has been doing in South Carolina, the way he's building his program, to the way you built here. You both were walk-on receivers at your respective schools. He hypes a lot. You hyped a lot when you were building your program, just trying to build up your players and build up the positivity around the program. Do you see? Have you had a chance to kind of look at what he's done and see any similarities to what you did in your first 4 years in building this program?
The only thing I can tell you is I've known Shane way before he was the South Carolina coach. And, we've always been friends. I think, the biggest similarity is he believes in his players. He believes in his people. He's a positive, optimistic guy. I've always tried to be that way in my life. And, and I think he's just a good person. He's got a great wife, just like I got a great wife. That's shout out to both of them, because trust me, he nor I would be where we are without those two. But as far as how they run their program and all that stuff, I'm not in tune to the inner workings of how he operates daily. I don't know all that. I just know he's a great guy and he's a good person. And he's got a great perspective. Again, I think he believes in himself, and he believes in his decisions, and he believes in his people, and he's an optimistic guy. I think that's probably similarities, but I've always believed when I got this job, I mean, there's a lot of things that we hadn't done, and listen, I better believe in myself, because there wasn't a lot of belief in me outside of Terry Don Phillips and our president and our board. There wasn't a ton of belief, and there shouldn't be. I mean, it's not like I had some long track record, but I always had a lot of belief in myself, and I also think he's passionate about the job. He's passionate about what he does. He loves the job. He loves football. So do I. And he loves where he's doing it. So do I. So I think those are all similarities. But he's done a great job. I mean, he really has. I mean, he's done a really good job, and I'm happy for him.
Coach, Clemson has sent some emails out to people about the way that we're changing the NIL landscape, 110 society, how critical the next 7 months are, and then how critical it will be July 1. What are your thoughts on that? And in your words, how critical, is it right now?
Well, it's critical, but not a lot of people don't really, I think, understand kind of the dynamics of where we are right now. I've said many times. I mean, we're kind of in the fourth quarter. We're in the back 20% of insanity, and we've got some normalcy in this new world, coming, but rev share doesn't start till July 1, and so right now it's just wacky land. You can do anything you want, and it doesn't even have to make any sense. There's no real standard, and so what they're doing in the university is going to allow us to do what we need to do until we can get to rev share. Because right now we don't have rev share. There is no rev share. It's just NIL, which is just pay for play right now. And in the past, the 110, you didn't really have any benefits to give to 110 other than you're helping us, and that's been a challenge. That's just the reality of it. It's not going to be a challenge for the rev share. That's going to be a blessing. It's going to really, really be a difference maker for us, and but we got to get to July, and we're competing against a lot of big NIL schools, and that just IPTAY, people understand giving IPTAY, and they get points and they get credit and all that stuff. Now it's worked out to where you still you're going to get all that, so it's critical to be able to that they've created this partnership to where you can get the points, you can get the credit, you can do all this, because it's the only way we're going to be able to compete between now and July, and so that's going to be important. Because you best believe you're gonna have some challenges, and we need to have rev share conversations now, not in July. We know what the number is. We know what the number is, and you can't spend a penny more, and you can't spend a penny less, and it's going to be third party regulated, which is going to be really good, and but it's each school and how you divide it up amongst your team, and that'll be based on what your roster looks like, right? I mean, if you got a big senior starter group back, well, obviously you're going to have most of your rev share in that group. And other guys, you got to spread it out as far as you can. And some years you guys have graduated and you're going to have more money maybe for acquisition. That's always part of it. But a situation like this year, well, we don't have many spots. We just don't have many. We don't have many spots, and we can't. You can't go to 105 in January. We don't have many spots. We have very few. Now, again, maybe we'll have some guys leave that, we don't know, and we create some spots. I don't know. But it's just where we are right now. We always anticipate a few guys maybe that want to play more that might move on. But, but we need to be able to have conversations about what the rev share looks like now as opposed to July. And everybody's dealing with the same thing. But the NIL part's been a challenge, but now with being able to get points and all that, that's going to really help us between now and July. So we need everybody's support in that for sure. And it's what we got to do, to compete the way we need to compete till we get there.
Sorry. What you need also, like, I know you're saying till you get to the rev sharing, but also in certain situations thereafter as well, wouldn't that NIL be also important in that situation?
Yeah, but the NIL is going to be different come July. It's going to have to meet a standard. Right now, there's no standard. You just, hey Chappell, how you doing? And he can give me $20 million. There's no standard. But come July, there's going to have to be a standard, and that's why we went out and hired ESM. Y'all probably, I'm sure we've talked about that's one of the best sports marketing agencies in the entire country. I mean, and we pay the fee, and so that NIL will still be there, and it can stack on top of the rev share, but it has to meet a standard. And if it doesn't meet a standard, then you're going to get penalized, and they're going to take money from your rev share. So it's not just pay for play anymore. It's going to be true NIL. And again, it will have to meet an actual standard. And again, all third-party regulated, which I think is going to be really, really good for everyone. So, because not everybody, is going, like right now, I mean, anybody could get anything they want NIL-wise, but that will be different. So the rev share will be the critical piece, and the NIL will have to be meet a true standard. And again, there's a lot of regulation that's going to be coming about with that. So that'll be a positive, but it's not going away. It's going to change how it's managed.
Talk about a need for conversations. Like, do you have an idea of what percentage yet of the
Yeah.
$20.5 million?
Yeah, ain't nobody gonna have more money than Clemson. Nobody. For the first time ever. So that'll be good. That'll be good.
Scholarship-wise, do you know?
Scholarships are the same. They don't go away. The scholarship you're talking about. That's an institution decision, and there's still conversations that are happening in league offices and all that stuff. But everybody's going to 105, and it is what it is there. We've had plenty of conversation about that, and there's lots of flexibility with what you do with the 105 and how you use those scholarships. But you could, you could stay at 85 and rev share guys more. Everybody's going to be at 105 one way or another. Or you can just scholarship. The scholarship's a big deal. That's a big deal. So it'll be different. It'll be different for sure. But we got to make it work. I'm more focused on what do we do. Like, to me, again, we've talked about the walk-on situation, and people don't understand like the challenges in college football that are so different from NFL, in that how you have to practice. We have a 20-hour rule. You have 17 hours Monday through Friday to get your team ready, and when you walk out on the practice field, you're really limited in your time, and so you have to be very efficient. And so that's why the walk-ons have always been so important, because you have scout teams, and now you're going to be really limited on your scout teams, and then your roster dwindles, injuries, stuff. And you can't just put anybody at left guard, right? And so. I'm hoping that, there will be maybe some changes that might come around somewhere along the way. Maybe we don't have to cut to 105 until the first game. That would be great. I don't know if that'll happen or not. I'm just spitballing pie in the sky here. That would be a great thing. So at least you then could at least have plenty of people that can practice, because there's kids all over this campus that want to be a part of your team. They do want to come practice. The women's basketball team, they got 6-7 guys that practice every day. That's what they do. They're students here, and they come serve their classmates. And so I don't know why that's a problem. So my hope is, one, we don't have to declare the roster until like the first game, so at least you got bodies to get through camp. And then my other hope is if you lose 2 linemen, for example, and they're out for the year, and you had 18 on the roster, if you will, or whatever it was, man, I could send out an email to campus and say, we're looking for a couple of walk-on linemen to come practice. And they all show up, and we test them and weigh them and run them and say, all right, we'll take you 2. And they just come and you're on your scout team. That way you can always be at that 105. And why is that a problem? As long as they're in school, as long as they're here, no great player. Sammy Watkins isn't going to come and just hang out on campus and wait for you to call him. Oh, okay, yeah. No, it's not Nobody's stashing players. Here's your roster. But just like Jonathan White's last year, or let's just say your kicker got in a bad car wreck and he's out for the year. You mean to tell me we can't like have a kicker try out and be able to add a guy? Like, to me, there's just a lot of those things that need to be worked out because we don't have access to any players, right? Like in the NFL, if you've got 8 linemen, you never go below 8 linemen. If you lose a guy, you just go get a guy off somebody's practice squad and bring him in. Or you bring a guy in on Tuesday and try him out and he plays on Saturday. We don't have access to players. Again, you can't go get somebody from the algebra class over here and bring him in and put him in the algebra class here. It doesn't work that way. So to me, at a minimum, if we're going to be 105 and we manage that, we need to be able to stay there. If you lose a guy, we should be able to add somebody, whether it's a practice squad or whatever, and they're not on the team, but just a group of guys that we could, all these kids we're cutting that are going to stay in school that would love to come and practice, which is what they do every day anyway. Like, why is that a problem? I don't know why that would be a problem. As long as, again, so you kind of, I don't know, maybe it's an IR, maybe it's, okay, this guy's out 2 weeks, so you can come practice 2 weeks. You're a scout team guy, whatever. And then you just, we need some flexibility there. We're not there yet. I'm just making stuff up here.
Has there been any talk about like reporting? Is it going to be year to year with the players, or can they leave in the year?
Yeah, and again, those are all things too that are problems for coaches big time. I mean, again, we're getting ready to go into a playoff, postseason, hopefully opportunity. I mean, South Carolina could get in the playoff. There's a lot of things at stake, and next week guys can just pack up and leave. And it's not that they want to, it's just the way the system is set up is they have to if they want to go and try to get somewhere in January. And it's just crazy. Like the NFL has free agency, when is that, March? Is it March? They don't do it in November. They don't do it in December. But we got finals. We got portal opening up. I love the early signing period. I think that's great because I think it helps it helps the high school kids. It gets those kids signed before that portal opens up, and then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, that guy's in the portal. Hey, and they call this little high school kid and say, hey, man, I'm sorry, I don't have a spot for you now. And he's been committed all year. That's sad, but that's what happens in a lot of places. And so I love the fact that that's on a different date so those kids can get signed. But, to me, there should just be one portal window, and it's in the spring, and you're done with it. And you at least know what you got. And again, that's another reason I wish they'd just do 5 years. So you get rid of this 4-game stuff, and then all of a sudden guys play 4 games. They know they're going in the portal, so they're not going to play anymore the rest of the year. As opposed to if you had 5 years, they would all play, and continue to get tape even if they're leaving. It's okay. And a lot of it's good. Listen, I'm glad these guys got an opportunity to go. But, what's been created, we've just made it so easy, and it's created conflicts that if we had just a little more common sense, we could fix it. But, it's where we are right now, and I hate it for the guys. I really do. But that's the system that's set up.
On the policing fair market value, do you think it's realistic that that's not just going to end up right back in court when somebody tells Chapel you can't give Dabo this much money because it's fair market? I mean, how do you even define that?
I have no idea. That was all part of the settlement. I guess in 10 years they'll figure it out. I don't know. But it's a 10-year settlement, and gajillion dollars was spent on the settlement, and there's a settlement, and there's 2 sides, and this is what they agreed to. I don't know. And it's not the NCAA that's regulating it. It's a third party, just like the NFL has a third party that manages this stuff. And if you're a penny over or a penny under, you got a problem. And then if you've got NIL over here and it's not meeting a standard, then there's going to be some issues. I don't know that all that, how the big bad wolf's going to manage. I don't know, but that's what's out there, and I'm sure there's still some things they're trying to figure out. And then again, there's a timeline. But I mean, I'm sure there'll be plenty of lawsuits over anything that happens every day. But I don't know.
You said that you never wanted to be in a situation where the players were getting paid.
I did not say that. Never said that. Never said that.
You
Said
said
I don't
if
want to be
they-
a part of the professionalization of college athletics.
Well, I think your words
No
were, if they got
scholarship,
paid,
go away from a
you'd find
scholastic
something
model.
else to do, I think was your quote, that is a
No.
very popular quote,
No.
that they got paid.
No, that's not accurate. That's not accurate. I said not if the professionalization, which would mean we do away with scholastic, the scholastic part of college. That's what I said. That's what somebody wrote. That's what people like to put out there. It ain't never been what I said.
My question just, are you comfortable? Are you,
I love it.
Are you
I
more
love
comfortable
it.
with the
I
way
think
it
it's
is?
great because we've kept a scholastic model. Because 98% of these guys aren't playing professional sports, and they're going to be done with football when they're like 23. And it's awesome because they're going to have an opportunity. We have more opportunity than we've ever had to help prepare them for what's next. Just like that's always been a focus for ours. But now we're going to have a little bit more hands-on opportunity. You know, stuff we've always done from a financial literacy, tax education. Now you got some real opportunity, and I still see it as our responsibility to prepare them for what's coming next, and so that they're not a statistic. We've always taken pride in that. You know, as we've built, you know, men through this program and equipped them through this program, we've always taken pride. Now you got real opportunity to do that and help them maximize that. But we know 98% of these guys aren't going to play professional athletics. So we need to help them maximize the opportunity, but we need to do it in a way that when they're 26, 27, 28, you know, they're not looking back going, God, I didn't have anybody around me that was giving me good counsel, guidance. Like, we're going to have financial planners in here twice a week. You know, there's going to be a lot of opportunity to really teach these guys. You know, real skills, and stuff that we've always done. But now you got some hands-on opportunity. But we're not going away from a scholastic model. They got to go to class. We're in the education business. I know that's not a popular. People, nobody wants to talk about that. But you know, I mean, I wouldn't be here doing this job if I didn't have my education. I could have been the greatest football player in the history of football. I wouldn't be standing here if I didn't have my degree.
Got time for one more.
So-
I know Pete Yannity's trying to get in virtually. Pete, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, just to elaborate, you said earlier Clemson will have more money than other schools. Just a couple of things.
I didn't say that either. I said nobody's going to have more money than Clemson.
Okay, no one's going to have more money than Clemson, but just kind of detail what gives you the confidence in that, and then how does that impact now how you go out and recruit in this era of reports of the various things we hear about $10 million quarterbacks and so forth?
Yeah, well, you know, again, there's going to be some order. There's a cap. I mean, it's all been negotiated, and there's a percentage that it goes up every year. You know, I mean, this is not stuff I made up. It is what it is. So yeah, you can give whatever you want. You can give all your rev share to one player if you want to, but then nobody else gets a dime. So, I mean, as far as the rev share part, for the first time, we will be able to, because everything has been just an NIL thing. Now it's going to be rev share. We've always had the money at Clemson. We just haven't been able to share it, you know, and so now we can. And there's a cap, and it goes up a little bit, and you decide how you're going to split it up, and your roster and the makeup of your roster will determine how that goes. If you got a fourth-year quarterback coming, that's a 3-year starter, well, you best believe he's going to do pretty good, right? It's just the way it is. And if you've got a sophomore quarterback who's unproven, he's probably not going to do as well as that fourth-year guy. I mean, it just because you might have a fourth-year left tackle that you got more money into. It just those are decisions that you have to make year to year. But everybody will have the same money. And when I say nobody's going to have more money than Clemson, that's because of the commitment from our administration. You know, because if you understand the lawsuit, the settlement, there's a pile of money, and that's for everyone, right? So it's a local decision on how schools divide that up. They could give football 5% if they're a school, and they could give basketball 95% or baseball 95%. They could divide it up how they want. That's a university deal. But at Clemson, you know, I mean, we're going to be as good as anybody out there. Nobody will have more money so than what we will have the opportunity. So that's a good thing. That's a positive.
All right, we've got Blake Miller on deck, so we'll wrap up, Coach.
I appreciate it.
In just a moment. Thank you all.
Happy Thanksgiving.